If stress is starting to change your body, your sleep, or your personality, that's not just a busy week. It can be a signal that your system is overloaded. The tricky part is that stress symptoms often look normal at first. You push through. You drink more caffeine. You tell yourself it'll pass. But some signals are red flags because they suggest your nervous system is stuck in high gear. In this guide, you'll learn which stress symptoms deserve attention sooner rather than later. Not to panic, just to notice patterns early. Think of it like a dashboard light. One light might be nothing. Several lights together mean you should slow down and check what's happening. We'll cover physical signs, mental signs, and behavior changes. And we'll end with a simple way to decide when to get professional help. Let's start with the most important idea. Stress becomes risky when it stops being temporary. Moving to slide 2. A big red flag is duration. Acute stress is short and tied to a clear event. Chronic stress is different. It lingers even when the original problem is gone. You might wake up tense for no obvious reason, or you feel on all day, then wired at night. Another clue is spillover. Stress starts affecting areas that used to be stable: your digestion, your patience, your focus, your relationships. And there's also recovery time. If a weekend, a day off, or a good night of sleep no longer resets you, that matters. Many people wait until they're completely burned out. A better approach is to track how long symptoms have been present and whether they're spreading. If you've had the same cluster of symptoms for weeks, that's a sign your body is adapting to stress in a costly way. The goal isn't to label yourself, it's to notice when temporary has quietly become your baseline. Moving to slide 3. Let's talk about sleep, because it's one of the clearest stress dashboards. A red flag isn't just, "I slept less." It's when your sleep pattern changes and stays changed. Maybe you fall asleep fine, but wake up at 3 a.m. with your mind racing. Or you can't fall asleep because your body feels restless. Another sign is unrefreshing sleep. You get 7 or 8 hours and still wake up exhausted. That can happen when stress keeps your nervous system activated through the night. Pay attention to reliance patterns too. If you need more caffeine to function, or you're constantly chasing naps, your sleep debt may be building. Sleep problems also amplify everything else: irritability, cravings, pain sensitivity, and anxiety. So if sleep disruption lasts more than a couple of weeks, or it's paired with daytime impairment, that's a strong signal to take stress seriously and start investigating what's driving it. Moving to slide 4. Stress often shows up in the body before you fully notice it mentally. One common red flag is frequent headaches, jaw tension, or neck and shoulder tightness that keeps returning. Another is a revved-up feeling. Your heart seems to pound more easily, you feel shaky, or you're jumpy with small surprises. Some people notice shortness of breath, chest tightness, or a lump in the throat sensation when they're under pressure. These symptoms can also have non-stress causes, which is exactly why they shouldn't be brushed off. The key is pattern plus impact. If physical symptoms are new for you, getting more intense, or interfering with daily life, it's worth checking. Also, watch for stress-related fatigue. Not the normal tiredness after a long day, but the kind where even small tasks feel heavy. Your body is telling you it's running on emergency mode too often. Moving to slide 5. Digestive changes are a surprisingly common stress red flag. The gut has its own nervous system, and it's sensitive to chronic activation. You might notice nausea, stomach discomfort, heartburn, or a sudden change in bowel habits. Some people swing between constipation and loose stools, especially during high-pressure periods. Another sign is appetite disruption. Stress can reduce hunger, or it can drive constant snacking and cravings for quick energy. Neither is a moral failure. It's biology trying to regulate. Also, pay attention to how often you feel bloated or uncomfortable after meals that used to be fine. If digestive symptoms are persistent, worsening, or paired with weight changes, that's a reason to take it seriously and consider a medical check to rule out other causes. The red flag isn't one weird day. It's the new normal. Your gut feels unpredictable, and you start planning your day around it. That's stress leaving the mind and entering the body. Moving to slide 6. When stress is too high for too long, your brain starts protecting itself by narrowing focus. That can look like forgetfulness, brain fog, and difficulty making decisions. A red flag is when simple choices feel strangely hard. You reread the same email 3 times. You walk into a room and forget why. You lose words mid-sentence. Another sign is reduced frustration tolerance. Small obstacles feel huge. You might also notice a drop in creativity and problem solving, because your brain is prioritizing threat detection over exploration. This is not a character flaw. It's a predictable stress response. The important question is impact. Are you making more mistakes at work? Are you avoiding tasks because they feel mentally painful? If cognitive changes persist for weeks, or they're paired with sleep problems and physical tension, treat it as a real signal. You don't need to wait until you can't function. Early adjustments can protect performance and mental health. Moving to slide 7. Another red flag is emotional volatility that feels out of proportion. You might feel irritable, snap faster, or feel like you have no buffer. Or the opposite, numbness. You stop feeling excited about things you normally enjoy. Some people describe it as being flat, like life is happening behind glass. Stress can also increase anxiety loops. Your mind rehearses worst-case scenarios, even when you know it's not helpful. A key sign is loss of flexibility. You can't shift gears emotionally. You're either tense, worried, or shut down. Also pay attention to crying more easily or feeling overwhelmed by small tasks. These changes don't mean you're broken. They mean your emotional system is overworked. If mood changes persist, affect relationships, or come with hopelessness, it's worth talking to a qualified professional. Emotional red flags matter because they often show up before bigger burnout or depression patterns settle in. Moving to slide 8. Stress doesn't only change how you feel, it changes what you do. A red flag is when your coping habits start getting more extreme. You might overwork and feel unable to stop, even when it's hurting you. Or you procrastinate more, then panic, then repeat the cycle. Another sign is social withdrawal. You cancel plans, stop replying, and tell yourself you'll reconnect later. Stress can also show up as control behaviors, overchecking, overplanning, or needing everything just right to feel safe. Watch for increased screen time that feels compulsive, not relaxing. And notice if you're relying on stimulants like caffeine more than before just to get through the day. Behavioral red flags matter because they create feedback loops. The more you withdraw or overwork, the less recovery you get. If you can name one behavior that has shifted noticeably in the last month, that's useful data, not a judgment. It's a sign to intervene earlier. Moving to slide 9. One of the most overlooked red flags is when stress starts damaging your relationships. You might become more reactive, more suspicious, or quicker to assume bad intent. Or you go quiet and emotionally unavailable because you're depleted. Another sign is conflict frequency. If you're arguing more or small misunderstandings escalate fast, stress may be lowering your tolerance and your ability to repair. Pay attention to empathy fatigue too. You stop caring about other people's problems, not because you're selfish, but because you have nothing left. Stress can also show up as people-pleasing. You say yes automatically, then resent it later. Relationship red flags matter because they remove your support system right when you need it most, and they can create secondary stress, guilt, loneliness, and ongoing tension at home. If multiple people in your life are commenting that you seem different, take that seriously. Outside feedback is often the earliest mirror you get. Moving to slide 10. Let's get specific about panic-like symptoms, because they're scary and often misunderstood. Some people under chronic stress experience sudden waves of intense fear, a racing heart, sweating, trembling, nausea, or feeling unreal or detached. These episodes can happen out of nowhere, or they can be triggered by a situation that feels unsafe. Even if it's just stress, it's still a red flag because it means your threat system is firing at full volume. It's also important because some symptoms, like chest pain, fainting, or severe shortness of breath, can overlap with medical emergencies. So the rule here is simple. If symptoms are severe, new, or feel dangerous, get checked. For recurring episodes, Pay attention to avoidance. If you start avoiding places, driving, meetings, or exercise because you fear another episode, that's a strong sign to seek professional support. The goal is to restore a sense of safety, not to tough it out alone. Moving to slide 11. Stress can also show up through your immune system and inflammation patterns. You might notice you're getting sick more often, taking longer to recover, or having frequent flare-ups of issues like skin irritation. Another red flag is persistent muscle aches or body pain without a clear reason, especially when paired with poor sleep. Stress hormones can influence inflammation and recovery processes. It doesn't mean stress is the only cause, but it can be a meaningful contributor. Watch for changes like frequent cold sores, recurring minor infections, or wounds that seem slow to heal. Also notice if you're clenching or holding tension so much that you develop repetitive strain, like sore wrists, tight hips, or back pain. The key is persistence and clustering. If you're seeing multiple body maintenance issues at once, it's a sign your system is overextended. This is where a medical check can be useful, not because you're imagining it, but because you deserve clarity on what's driving the pattern. Moving to slide 12. One of the most serious red flags is when stress starts changing your sense of hope or safety. If you feel persistently hopeless, trapped, or like you can't see a way forward, that deserves attention. Another warning sign is when you lose interest in nearly everything, not for a day, but for weeks. Also, take seriously thoughts of self-harm or feeling like others would be better off without you. Those are emergency-level signals, not something to wait out. Stress can be the doorway into depression or severe anxiety for some people, especially when combined with isolation, sleep loss, or major life strain. The practical takeaway is this: the more your thoughts become extreme, either catastrophic or numb, the more important it is to get support. Professional help is not a last resort, it's a tool, and it's often easier to turn things around early, before the pattern becomes deeply entrenched. If any of these thoughts are present, reach out to a qualified clinician or local emergency resources right away. Moving to slide 13. So how do you decide what to do next? Use a simple 3-part check: intensity, duration, and impairment. Intensity means how strong the symptom feels. Duration means how long it's been happening. Impairment means what it's costing you: sleep, work, relationships, or basic self-care. If 2 of these 3 are high, it's a strong sign to get help. Also, look for clustering. 1 symptom can be random. 3 or 4 across different systems, sleep, mood, digestion, pain, suggest chronic stress load. Next, consider rule-outs. If a symptom is new, severe, or unusual for you, a medical evaluation can be the safest way to clarify what's going on. And if you're already diagnosed with a condition and stress is worsening it, that's another reason to check in. The goal is not to pathologize normal stress. It's to catch the moments when stress stops being information and starts becoming damage. Moving to slide 14. Let's close by turning awareness into a simple plan. First, pick 1 red flag you relate to most. Sleep, mood, panic-like episodes, digestion, pain, or behavior changes. Then track it for 2 weeks in a basic way. When it happens, what seems to trigger it, and what helps it ease. Patterns are powerful. Next, choose 1 recovery anchor you can protect daily. That might be a consistent wake time, a short walk, a real lunch break, or a wind-down routine without scrolling. Small, repeatable actions matter more than big one-time fixes. If your red flags are intense, lasting, or impairing your life, make the next step concrete. Schedule a check-in with a clinician or a licensed mental health professional. And if you're dealing with hopelessness or self-harm thoughts, treat that as urgent. Before you go, I'm curious, what shows up first for you under stress? Sleep issues or irritability? Leave A for sleep or B for irritability in the comments. If you want more guides like this, subscribe. Better biology creates better decisions.